So we had a session together. I can't remember. I think it may have been around 90 minutes to 2 hours, maybe longer. I forget now, but
yeah, time has no meaning in that meeting for me, really.
true. Yeah.
Because you could have said it was half an hour, and I would have said okay. You could have told me it was 3 hours, and I would have said okay. It was a deep, meaningful, moving experience, but I mean, unusual for me. Nothing like I've ever experienced before. I mean, it felt like the first part of it, we were talking, so it felt a little bit like a talking therapy. We explored some of the themes. That's what it felt like. It felt a familiar space. I mean, I opened up to you, and I remember I cried. I was emotional. I'm feeling it now, and we're not even talking about the theme.
Right. Yeah.
But I feel it in a different way here now. I suppose reflecting on the experience itself, I was quite raw. I'd opened up a lot to you, required a lot of trust in someone. Considering we'd only talked once before, I found
True.
that quite powerful, because normally talking therapy, you develop a relationship, and you kind of crack open until you trust them. So that surprised me. I think I feel like I'm quite an open person, but maybe that's superficial surface. But that deep stuff, and especially trauma, and especially shameful things or things you feel guilty about, they're very different things to open up about, and especially so quickly. So I remember talking to them, and then really, I suppose the key thing that really remained in that memory is the closing of the eyes and the breathing, and that is where kind of time kind of loses or meaning, I guess. I don't know how long that was. Again, and before, it could have been minutes, it could have been hours. I remember being extremely calm through that process, genuinely feeling like I was being soothed, relaxing, calming. It was pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, in that space, it was quiet too, right? I don't believe there was any dialogue at that point. So you were feeling that sense of being soothed.
Yeah, there was a time where I don't know. I can't even really fully remember if you've given me time just to process, to breathe, or something. But yeah, it was quiet.
You went somewhere, we could say, at the very least.
Went somewhere. 100% I did.
Somewhere powerful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to feel like my old self, but that to me, what do I mean by my old self? Well, first of all, there's no growth and change there. What I got out of this process and everything completing at the end of the year was what I feel like is a much better version. There are a lot of the positive things that I would say about my old self that I've carried through, but there's also been, it feels like, some really fundamental changes for the good. There's a different type of confidence, it feels like, the certainty in my decision making, the confidence that I carry with me, even in this new job. It's a stretch job, it's in a role, that's a leadership role, that's the most senior I've ever been. And I've suffered with imposter syndrome in previous roles, coming from quite a poor working class background. I joined the army to escape all that, really. I was very fortunate in joining the military and having a really good career in the military and outside of it. But I've often felt like a bit of an imposter, reaching a certain level of, I don't know, success or seniority, whatever it might be. And I have none of that in this role. I'm flying. I love it, and I'm so enthusiastic about it. And it's the first time I've ever not had, outside of the military, not had the feelings of imposter syndrome. It's a weird added side benefit, which was not something that I was pursuing. It's not just the fake it till you make it kind of confidence. It's a real core confidence, just the way I'm going about my life, and it's affected work and relationships, and just the way I am, and I'm going about my business. It's lovely.
Was there anything you needed to do in order for that to happen, or was it more like it just feels like it's there now naturally? How would you describe that?
I mean, I'd like to think it's a combination of a number of different things. You know, I meditated, but I've meditated for 5 or 6 years, and I've never felt like this. It helps. It's the daily practice and the exercise, seeing my friends, being more open. But central to it all, and critically, it was the experience I had with you, that makes me. I know and I believe that was the agent of change, if you like. That was the biggest thing that has got me to this point. Everything else helped. Everything else got me to a certain point.
Of course.
This has been like a supercharger, if you like. I'm more transformational in a much more tangible, immediate way. And let's say 3 weeks, but that's fairly immediate in terms of the change I'd felt, the reduction in the anxiety, the reduction in low mood. That was, even when I was speaking with you at the time, that was kind of still persisted. It was manageable. I wouldn't have said it was depression, but I was definitely still suffering with low mood, low anxiety, dissatisfaction because of work, mainly. And that's been, again, transformational.
Awesome. What's life look like when you think out into the future and moving forward?
That's interesting, Paul, because I've not contemplated that. And I am really experiencing what is happening now. I'm really
in the present,
in a great spot, right? That's there's none of the wishing away to the future or looking, you know, what it could be. That'll take care of itself. Like the best version of me has always felt like that. You fly by the seat of your pants a little bit. Whatever will be, will be.
Awesome. Well, I love to hear the transformation, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share your experience and hopefully inspiring other people, and just, you know, providing that insight of what it's like to go through this approach, through this process. So thank you, and be well.
Well, it's nice to be able to actually tell you my story and to thank you. And I'm really pleased that I could share this with you. And if anyone is listening and like looking at referrals, I couldn't recommend it highly enough. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.